Welcome back to the Connected Health Podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa, and today we're diving into a topic that affects almost every person I work with, whether they know it or not. If you've ever felt bloated after eating a healthy meal, struggled with fatigue that doesn't make sense, reacted to foods that you used to tolerate or just felt off in your body, this episode right here is going to be a game changer. I'm breaking down what your gut is actually trying to tell you, the root causes that nobody talks about, and the surprising ways that gut issues show up outside your stomach, like in your skin, your mood, your hormones, your energy, and honestly, your entire life. Your gut is the foundation of your health. I'll let you in on something. Your gut symptoms are not random. There's usually a pattern when it comes to them, and that pattern can be revealing as to what specifically is going on in your gut. Your body is trying to communicate with you, tell you something, send you signals that something's out of balance and something's not right. So I'm trying to help you decode those messages. So let's get into it. Let's start with the real problems that people have when it comes to gut health. Like you're doing everything right, eating-wise, exercise-wise, you're trying to get enough sleep and water, but there's still bloating that seems to be random. Maybe you're one of those people who wakes up bloated, or you just overall feel puffier around your midsection, around your face, maybe even around your joints. You might look like you're pregnant right after eating with the type of bloating and the pressure in the air that's in your digestive area. You suspect that you possibly have food sensitivities, and so you're not really sure what you're supposed to eat and what you're supposed to avoid because it seems random what is causing the flare-ups. Maybe you have an IBS diagnosis, or maybe you don't. Maybe that you think that is what you have, but no doctor is able to pin that down for you. You've got some brain fog, you might have energy crashes, mood swings, skin rashes, things like psoriasis or fungus on the skin, those little bumps on the back of your arms, tinea versicolor, anxiety after eating, or even just generally feeling dismissed by doctors because you come to them with different symptoms and they're not really able to pinpoint exactly what's wrong with you. Basically, if you can identify with any of the symptoms that I just described, you're not alone. There's a lot of people that suffer from issues like this and more, and it does tie all back into gut health. So that is the core of what this episode is going to be about. So giving you a holistic view of the gut, there is a part of the body called the gut-brain axis. The gut is considered your stomach, your small intestine, your large intestine. And then there's an axis that connects up to your brain. The communication between your gut and your brain is the gut-brain axis. What's going on in your digestive system is interpreted by the brain, and the brain sends out signals. And sometimes the body overall reacts to those signals by producing symptoms. It's so important to recognize that connection is there because stress, the perception of stress or threat or anything, can also destroy your digestive system. And stress can be many things. It can be psychological stress. It can be anxiety from stressful situations, but it could also be actual stress on the gut. The stress from eating foods that you're sensitive to and there's a reaction there. The stress and burden of bacteria that's in your gut. There's also neurotransmitters, which are chemical messengers for your brain that are also produced in the gut. This is how deep the gut-brain connection is. When you are stressed out, digestion actually slows down. And when digestion slows down, food takes longer to go through the digestive tract, and it actually starts to ferment in there. And when it ferments, it usually off-gasses something in that fermentation process, which is one of the reasons why you're gassy or you're bloated or your stomach is distended right after you eat. So stress and eating while stressed is a huge no-no, yet so many of us are stressed and we just scarf down our food, which causes all of this stuff. It's also important to note that 70% of your immune system lives in your gut. Immune modulators are produced in the gut. There's your immunoglobulins that are also a part of that process. And if the gut is inflamed, everything else becomes inflamed. Because the connection of the gut and the brain and the hormone systems are so strong, it's almost like the body interprets so many things through the lens of what's going on in the gut. It's huge. If your gut health is off, So many other things are off. And actually, gut health is tied to a lot of chronic disease and disease issues. Here's another look at the gut. If your gut at all is damaged, where that intestinal lining is damaged through stress, allergies, pesticides, food sensitivities, all of that physical damage, it's likely that the absorption of your food and your nutrients is affected. And if your gut can't absorb what you're eating, you're not going to get those nutrients to go where they're supposed to go to fuel your body. It's going to leave you tired because you don't have enough vitamins and minerals coming into your system. And it's going to make you have cravings because your body is just so starved for that nutrition. Are you starting to see that gut health is the core of basically everything? All right, we're going to talk about the holistic and functional medicine's view of gut health. So, like I say many times on this podcast, symptoms are signals. They're not meant to be covered up or ignored or even suppressed. They're actually signals for the body asking us to look a little deeper and see what's going on. Usually when we have gut issues that spread across our entire body in different illnesses and manifesting symptoms in different ways, it usually ties back to something called leaky gut. This term is typically poo-pooed in the allopathic or general Western medicine type of space, but there's a more specific terminology for it that is more widely accepted, and that is called intestinal permeability. Leaky gut, it's more of like a layman's term, very simple to just picture, but intestinal permeability and leaky gut can be used interchangeably. The concept is the intestinal wall and the intestinal lining is supposed to allow things to go in and out of the walls, like nutrients from food to be absorbed through the body, sent through the bloodstream, wherever it's supposed to go. But the permeability can be affected by damage to the intestinal lining and allowing things through the body and through the bloodstream that aren't supposed to be there, causing issues. So that's essentially what intestinal permeability means. If you were watching the video of this on YouTube, I've got this great handy dandy visual aid right here. What I'm holding up is, it's like one of those cleaning rags that has all of these little spikes on it. I'll try to give a description for those of you who are listening and aren't able to watch, but I do recommend at least taking a peek at this part of the episode. So what this is it's just like a simple representation of what the gut lining in the small and large intestine look like. So these little spikes represent the microvilli or villi, which their job is to increase the surface area of the gut to absorb nutrients from our food. And if you were to unroll the gut and unroll all the microvilli and lay it out completely flat, it actually has the surface area of a full-sized tennis court. So 28-ish feet of the small and large intestine, all spread out with all of the small little spikes that absorb our food. If you could wrap up, roll up, box up a tennis court and put it in your stomach, that's what we're dealing with. And that's a lot of surface area if you can imagine that. If many of those areas are in the gut, and let's say there's some small tears, small perforations, or small holes around the surface of the gut where things can leak out and affect the rest of the body, that is essentially intestinal permeability or leaky gut. Now, that is just one of the problems that your gut can have, which is causing your health problems. Let's say that some of the microvilli get scratched up or they get torn off, or there's even tears in the lining here. And that is what is going on when we've got some intestinal permeability. Some things are not supposed to leak into the bloodstream. We do want to absorb good stuff from the nutrients and the food that we eat, but some of those tears can be so large that larger molecules of food or things that we don't even want can go into the bloodstream. And when that happens, the immune system says, alarm, that's not supposed to be there. And so the immune system mounts an attack against whatever that foreign invader is. It's not supposed to be in the bloodstream. It's not supposed to be wherever it has traveled in the body. So it mounts an immune response. And that usually looks like inflammation. Let's say you have a very leaky gut and food particles, molecules, things are going all over the body through the bloodstream, traveling through the bloodstream and getting sent everywhere. That's a lot of inflammation and a lot of immune response in different areas of your body. This can happen in cases of autoimmunity when your immune system attacks your own body because of something like leaky gut. That is one of the main causes of autoimmunity. When your gut is so inflamed and leaky, for lack of a better term, that particles are going all over the body and causing an inflammatory response, which means things like joint pain, skin problems, brain fog, fatigue, food sensitivities, and so much more. Autoimmune issues begin with the immune system reacting to things that shouldn't have crossed the gut barrier in the first place. It also might mean that you are possibly not sensitive to that type of food, but just because that food particle or a molecule that was broken down from that food has crossed into a part of the body where it's not supposed to be, the body mounts a response towards it, and the body starts to make a pattern and belief that it is allergic to that type of food. It's so complex in the gut with all of the intricacies of what's going on and how the body reacts to foreign invaders. But once you heal the gut, so many other things will start to line up and fall in place and be healthy again. That's one picture of what's going on in the gut. Another few root causes of gut issues and health problems are things like inflammation, dysbiosis, and gut bugs. So, number one, inflammation can hurt and harm the gut and intestinal lining. Inflammation can happen from stress, from processed foods. Our body's really not used to breaking down processed foods, so there's an inflammatory response released to some of them because the body sees that strange chemical preservative in that packaged cracker we ate is something foreign. We should attack it because it doesn't look like it belongs here, and we can't use the information from that chemical to fuel the body. So inflammation is released from that process as well. Another thing that causes inflammation in the gut is birth control, alcohol, different kinds of medications. And what inflammation looks like on a symptom standpoint on the outside is feeling like you're bloated, feeling heavy, puffy, and even pain. Any sort of sensations of. Another root cause for gut issues is a word called dysbiosis. And dysbiosis basically means imbalance of gut bacteria. There are trillions of strains of bacteria in our gut. And while bacteria might sound bad, some of them are beneficial bacteria and some of them are harmful bacteria. When there is an imbalance, let's say there's more bad than good, we call that dysbiosis. So it sounds like a big word, but it really just means an imbalance of gut bacteria. And that can be caused by things like antibiotics. Chronic use of antibiotics or multiple uses over a short period of time wipe out all of the bacteria in the gut, good and bad. And when it starts to grow back, there can be an imbalance from that also. Alcohol destroys good gut bacteria and promotes the growth of bad bacteria in the gut. High sugar diets, same thing. Sugar feeds certain types of negative opportunistic bacteria to overgrow and populate more in the digestive tract. Stress, same thing. Stress produces more dysbiosis. Low stomach acid. Stomach acid is naturally made in the stomach to help to break down your food before it gets in the small intestine and then the large intestine. If we don't have enough stomach acid, the food can move through our digestive system still not well broken down, and that can cause issues and imbalances in the gut bacteria as well. Also, stomach acid kills bacteria from food, viruses, pathogens before it even gets to the small intestine. But if you don't have enough stomach acid, that bacteria can go through your digestive tract still alive and populating even more. I know it sounds gross. And then also the lack of a diverse diet causes an imbalance of gut bacteria, especially whole foods and foods with biotic strains, typically like yogurt or kombucha or kefir, even sauerkraut. They also contribute helpful bacteria for our guts. If we don't eat foods like that, we might be missing out on the benefits that those give us. Another root cause of gut issues is an infection called H. pylori, Helicobacter pylori. I remember the first time I learned about it in biology class, probably in high school. But little would I know, I would be infected with H. pylori at least twice in my entire life thus far. It is not fun. Let me tell you, it is not fun. It is one of the most common infections worldwide, actually. So, in the United States, the prevalence of H. pylori is between 30 and 36% at all times. And about 2/3, roughly, of the world's population is infected with H. pylori. It lives in the body and it can be dormant until some stress or issues with stomach acid balance can be something that wakes it up. You can get it through eating foods at restaurants, sharing drinks, kissing, contaminated water. It's quite common, and many people, it just lives in your body waiting to be awoken and to give you a flare. What it does is it suppresses your stomach acid, and that can cause things like reflux, bloating, and nausea. I actually had H. pylori quite recently, earlier this year. I had another case of it, and I noticed because I was super bloated. I literally looked like I was pregnant with my first child with how bloated I was. I was dealing with a lot of reflux, and I was nauseous almost all the time, whether or not I had had any food. And because I'm an integrative health practitioner now, I recognize the signs and signals of, oh my goodness, I think I have H. pylori. Let me start to treat this and work on this right now. And actually, within 3 weeks, I was less bloated. And then within 6 weeks, I had taken care of the infection. Crazy. Symptoms of H. pylori can be acid reflux, feeling full after just eating a couple of bites of food, nausea, bad breath, anxiety, nervousness. Maybe you're a little shaky. And then when it gets really bad, it starts to affect the color of your stool. Your stool can look black or like a light pale gray, which is what we called terry colored, or it could be bloody if the infection has gotten so bad that it's causing ulcers because your stomach acid is so low. And that can usually happen when it gets so bad or the infection is so severe that it causes that. Another root cause of gut issues are parasites. Now, there is common misconception that parasites are only in third world or developing countries because it's in the water or in the food, or they just don't have enough infrastructure to purify things. And it's actually extremely common. Parasites can be found in unwashed produce, even here in the US, raw foods, whether you're eating meat, poultry, fish, sushi. It can come and be spread to us from pets, because pets carry a lot of stuff. And when we're in close contact with our animals, what they're carrying can be transferred to us, get into our systems, and start to populate and grow families of their own right in there. Also, tap water can host parasites as well. Anytime you travel, typically out of the country, you're more susceptible as well, especially in those third world and developing countries. Eating out at restaurants, if the staff isn't on top of cleaning and sanitation processes, you can also get affected by that. If you've ever had food poisoning from eating out, that's just an example of parasitic activity. But you can really get it from all sorts of places, even in developed countries. Many parasites are not affected by stomach acid, and they can travel and start a whole new life in the gut and populate more, grow, multiply, causing things like gas, bloating, irregular bowel movements, cravings, and affecting your sleep. Parasites are active at night. They're also really active around the full moon, feeling the gravitational pull of the full moon, and they start to be more active. If you constantly crave things like sugar, that could be your parasitic gut bugs screaming for nourishment because they get fed by the breakdown of sugars. Another root cause of gut problems is candida or yeast overgrowth. Yeast is the more general term. Candida is a specific type of yeast that can grow and populate in the gut. It can be caused by antibiotics, too much sugar, birth control, stress, and candida thrives when the gut is weak. It can populate in the gut, but it can also spread outside of the gut through the skin. If you've ever had yeast growing from your scalp or even on your skin with rashes and dermatitis, all of that is related to yeast. You can tell that you have yeast by also intense sugar cravings, bloating, brain fog, fatigue, skin issues, anxiety. If you have a thrush or a white coating on your tongue, that's a symptom of candida, or other fungal infections, also symptom of yeast and candida overgrowth. We're not done. There's a few more root causes, and I wanted to pause right here and say, yes, you can have multiple of these problems at the same time, especially if one of the main causes is low stomach acid. Low stomach acid allows for many of these gut bugs and bacteria to grow and thrive and be happy. Moving on, another root cause is SIBO. You might have heard the term. It stands for small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So we've got the stomach, and then the stomach feeds into the small intestine, and the small intestine is where a majority of the food is digested. And when there is a overgrowth or dysbiosis of bad bacteria in the small intestine, we get what's called SIBO. This is usually what happens after a case of food poisoning, after a case of antibiotics, or even after having surgery. The bacteria migrate into the small intestine and start to overpopulate and grow. It can cause things like bloating within an hour of eating, gas, constipation, or diarrhea, two ends of the spectrum, a reaction to healthy foods, or carbohydrate or fiber intolerance. You get more bloating when you eat those types of food. This is why your gut reacts even when you're eating clean, because the bacteria are simply in the wrong place. And here's another fun fact that you might not want to know. You can actually give yourself SIBO. There's a juncture between the small intestine and the large intestine. And when that junction opens and closes, usually it's well controlled. But when the body is overstressed, it can open and close at random times. And sometimes the bacteria from the large intestine can be transferred into the small intestine and start to grow and populate there. Crazy. Absolutely disgusting. I'm sure that's a fun fact that you wanted to know. So those are the main causes of gut issues. The best way to describe it is the soil that makes all of those things possible is having a leaky or permeable gut. If you have infections and inflammation, just like we just described with the H. pylori, the SIBO, the candida, the yeast, the dysbiosis, and your gut is allowing that bacteria and the waste to flow into your bloodstream, that's where the biggest chaos starts. This is where autoimmunity can come in because there's just so much floating around in the bloodstream that your body is just breaking out. When the gut is permeable, when things are coming out of the gut through the bloodstream around to different parts of the body, the immune system starts to attack everything. It starts to be confused. It starts to overreact. And that's why it's so important to heal and seal the gut, which is one of the things that I do with my clients as we tackle gut stuff. We're going to talk about that next. Like I said, you could have multiple of these going on in your gut chaos at the same time. I know I have with my gut problems. And I want to introduce the concept of functional testing. There are at least two that I like to start people out with, and that is the GI-MAP, which is a gastrointestinal map type of test. What happens is you submit a sample of your stool to measure the pathogens like H. pylori, parasites, enzyme levels, inflammation, yeast, and opportunistic negative bacteria levels that come out of that. And it gives you a clear map of the gut ecosystem. There's also other gut tests similar that test similar things. But what I like about that is it gives you multiple days of data because you test your stool multiple days in a row, have that all submitted and get that tested. It gives you a huge picture of what's going on in the gut, what's being excreted, what is found in the stool to let you know what exactly is growing in the digestive system. Another test I like to recommend to clients is the organic acids test. And this is a urine-based test that measures yeast, mold, bacterial metabolites, basically what is coming out in the urine, to show what's going on in the gut. It also tests things related to neurotransmitters, mitochondria function, and it can break down and give insight into what's causing your fatigue, your mood issues, and more. I don't like to guess at what's going on in the gut. I want to have a clear, bigger picture because with all of these different root causes, it's best to find out exactly what is going on so that you can tackle that, start to reduce the gut bacteria, start killing it off, and start restoring harmony and balance to the gut and overall the whole body. I don't guess, I test. And this is what helps my clients finally get answers after years of feeling dismissed. What the testing does is it gives me an insight into what's going on in the gut. Is it more of an H. pylori issue? Is it more SIBO? Is it a combination of multiple different types of infections? And in that way, I'm actually given precise data into how to take my health coaching and tailor it to that specific client with that specific gut problem. Blanket gut cleanses are not going to be the best for you, especially if you have multiple infections at the same time, but there isn't a way to know unless you test. So I wanted to give you some practical steps into start healing your gut. Maybe you have a laundry list of symptoms like I listed. Maybe you do have multiple types of gut infections going on with dysbiosis and yeast and H. pylori and parasites and all of these things happening at the same time. I wanted to give you some tools and some suggested foods to start incorporating into your diet to start having a balance. Foods like bone broth can be very soothing to the gut because of the components that it contains, like healthy proteins that restore the gut lining, lean proteins as well. Cooking your vegetables. Sometimes raw veggies are really tough for a compromised digestive system. So it's really good to either steam or boil your vegetables, make sure they're soft and ready for the gut to take in. Berries have many antioxidants that can help the gut. Eating anti-inflammatory meals and being strategic with fermented foods. Sometimes if there is bacterial overgrowth, like in the case of SIBO, eating fermented foods would actually make your symptoms worse. We want to restore a healthy balance to the gut, and then we can start to repopulate the gut with healthy bacteria. Supplements that I can recommend would include L-glutamine and zinc carnosine, typically taken in a supplement together. DGL, it is a type of licorice that helps with things like H. pylori. Digestive enzymes. If you're having trouble breaking down your food, maybe you don't have enough digestive enzymes, taking a digestive enzyme supplement can be helpful for you. But finding the right one is important too. I wanted to have a little side note about probiotics. Probiotics can be very helpful in introducing good types of bacteria to your gut. But in some cases, this is why testing is very important. Probiotics can make things worse. Testing is important to see if your body can actually handle the probiotics with the load that it has right now. Only targeted probiotics should be used, and it's best to ask a practitioner about the best options for you, especially after testing is done. I wanted to give you some lifestyle recommendations also. Like I said several times in this episode, it can make gut problems worse. So really managing your stress, making sure that you're eating meals in a calm environment. Maybe it's quiet. Maybe you're around people that make you feel safe and happy. Make sure you chew your food and enjoy it slowly, not inhaling your food because that's going to cause issues for the gut also. And making meal times very happy, stress-free, restorative time of your day. Deep breathing can help before meals. Light walking after meals can help with the digestive process. Making sure you're sleeping deeply and well. I have an episode about sleep in my podcast as well. Go check that out. And overall, reducing the toxic load that's coming into your body. I also have a podcast episode about detox. Check that one out too. So there you have it. Those are all the issues that could be going on inside of your gut. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that this episode has helped you understand your gut on a deeper, more compassionate level. You're not broken, but there is a complex set of things that could be going on inside your body that you might not even be aware of. There are signals that your body is trying to send you, and once you know how to interpret those signals, you'll be well on your way to a path of healing. If you want to go deeper and learn exactly how to decode your digestion, I'm hosting a free gut health workshop this week of December 2025. This is a free virtual workshop where I'll walk you through what's going on in the gut when it comes to the different symptoms that you're feeling and the step-by-step method that I use with clients to restore their guts. Keep an eye out. Registration opens soon. I would love to see you there. Remember, the workshop is absolutely free. If you already know that you need personalized gut support, I do have some one-on-one coaching spots opening before the end of this year. Otherwise, you'd have to wait till 2026. You can message me on Instagram at Connected Habits Coaching. You can send me an email at vanessa@connectedhabits.com or send me a message on Facebook as well. If this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend who's struggling with digestive issues. It might change their life. I'll see you in the next episode.